Yo, what's up, man? How you doing today?
Good. I'm doing good. How you been, bro?
Not bad, not bad. Busy with a lot of law work.
I can tell. I don't know if you guys can see, man, but he's got a whole library in here. It's insane. But yeah, bro.
That's not a lot of law reading. I should actually be doing more of that than reading my own
Yeah,
books.
I can see it. I'm sure it all comes together. I'm sure you can learn something from each piece of literature and apply it, right?
I actually find my own books more interesting than reading law.
Yeah, of course. You're pursuing that out of your own interest, right? But I mean, don't you ever do you ever feel like you pick something up from your own personal reading that you find you can apply to your own course?
It definitely teaches you patience, like when you read.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are working on your stuff, it helps you with that. Definitely. That the patience that you get when you read books outside university.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, bro. I don't know about you, man, but so when you read, can you sit down and you read and you'll get it like that, or do you ever feel like you have to go over a paragraph again to get the concept?
That it happens. Sometimes if the work that I'm looking into is very dense and not that easy to understand, you need to go over the paragraphs a couple of times.
Yeah, bro.
Is that the same with you, or?
That, I mean, it's frustrating for me sometimes. I want to read effectively, but different people take different information in, they take information in through different mediums. Some people learn better through visuals, by looking at illustrations, or some people learn better when they work with this. So kinetic learners, you ever heard of that? So they'll apply by application, they learn it better. And some people can just straight up read and get it. So for me, I feel like whenever I'm reading a paragraph, there are times where I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? I'm just restart again.
Is this when you read for your architecture course or
anything? Sometimes anything. It depends on the writing style, actually, because there are books that explore complex topics, and that means that you have to use complex words and complex sentences to really try to present this idea. And it's just sometimes you read passively, and then you just get to a point where it's wait, I actually don't know what the hell he's talking about, and then you have to restart. I mean, for me, what I like to do actually is to close the book and actually just look and then try to reformulate what I just read in my own words and see if that, because I find that really helps. But for me, sometimes it's difficult to just go on a straight reading streak and get everything just like that.
Yeah, for me also that's the same thing. I can sometimes focus 1 hour and I read for 1 hour very, very effectively. Sometimes I can go beyond that. It just depends on the mood, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it
and
depends
also
on the mood.
And also the writing style and stuff. It's because some writers have different ways of writing. Some people will just straight up.
To be honest with you, my favorite type of authors are those who write in simplistic language.
Of course.
If it sounds too lofty.
Yeah.
I get bored very easily. Yeah.
It is actually a very hard skill to get. It's a skill that everyone should be striving for when they're writing, is to be able to explain complex ideas in the simplest terms. That sounds easy, but it's not. It can be so difficult.
Actually, if an author writes in simple language, that means he understands the topic really well that he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's this YouTube series. I don't know what the channel is. I kind of forgot. I think it was Wired, but they get these experts and they give them 4 or 5 different levels of understanding for the field that they want to talk about. I think one guy was talking about brain scans. So you can imagine how complex that is, right? Actual technology that can map out your brain. And so they give him 4 or 5 different people that talks to. So you got a 7-year-old child, a high school student, a college student who's studying in that field, PhD student, and then someone who's actually working on that. And then you can see the different layers in which they can really try to explain it, and they do it very well for especially the kids. Imagine trying to explain brain psychological mapping to a child. That would be incredibly difficult, when you think. But for them, they're able to condense it down, the whole concept, not the whole concept, because sometimes there is a need to elaborate, but they can kind of really put it together in the simplest terms, and then the child kind of gets it.
What's this YouTube channel again?
I think it was Wired, but I'm not sure.
Is it good? Is it?
They post it's like GQ, they post videos about everything, a lot of things, but I think they do have a series where they get professionals to come in and talk about complex topics. But that's something I find really fascinating, about how we gather information, how we perceive it, interpret it, and the different ways in which we can learn it. Yeah.
What made you study architecture? What was the motivation?
That's a good question.
And I have another question as well.
Yeah.
Is it something that came intrinsically to you, like studying architecture? Does it come easily to you, or do you have to kind of learn? Do you have to kind of put in a lot of effort, right?
Yeah. No, that's a great question, bro. That's a great question. Architecture is a fascinating subject for me. I don't know if I just got lucky, man, because I wasn't like from the beginning. I wasn't always like, yo, I want to be a freaking architect, Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Go for it. Go for it.
No. I mean, I'm saying preemptively, like.
No, that's fine.
Because sometimes I have a potty mouth and I can't control it.
That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine.
Awesome, excellent. Okay, so back to the topic of architecture. Yeah, so it was really during my final years. Like I was actually thinking about doing interior design, and I felt, I was like entering my UCAS details and shit like that, because I didn't think I had it in me to do architecture. I thought you needed physics. I thought you needed maths. So I was just like, well, fuck it, we'll do interior design. But I just didn't think that was ambitious enough. I felt like I could do more than that. And I did an internship. I spoke to some professionals, and it turns out like I know more physics than them actually, which is like really funny. So I ended up picking it, and it's interesting because it has like this nice relationship. It's a very holistic subject. It covers a lot of things.
And explain that. What do you mean by that? Like holistic?
So holistic just means like if it covers a lot of different topics.
Right.
So it's on the surface, it's just the design of buildings, right? But buildings are related to so many other aspects. People, us. How does the space relate to us psychologically, like our mental well-being? How does it work with the economy? What are we building? Is it in demand? Geography as well. Like, so what is local to the site, both on the human aspects and also in the physical aspects? You need to understand the various climate, the various climate factors, the various like geography of things. So there's that, right? So and then you also have the artistic side of it, so the creative side of it. So you have all this science, all this humanity and stuff like that, and you need to put it together into a design that is unique, that addresses an issue creatively. So I think for me, just to encapsulate that, is like it's the combination of the artistic and the scientific. So it really.
Which one do you like more, or the two, the scientific or the artistic? Which one comes also easier to you?
Okay, that's a good point. I think the artistic comes easier to me, if I'm being honest. I find it more enjoyable for me when I'm able to just come up with solutions myself, or like when I just get to freestyle it, rather than reading about like.
Is the artistic science part where you actually are drawing, doing the drawings yourself, or?
Exactly, yeah. So drawings, paintings, plans, like there's all kinds of things that you can play around with.
Did you draw a lot or paint a lot growing up as a kid, or?
I did actually sketch a bit. Not paint. I didn't study art or in my GCSE or my A levels. I wouldn't say that I'm that good of an artist, but
this is again in Thailand, correct? Or?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
So I do like expressing myself artistically though. And I think like I said before, I think I understand and interpret things in more of a visual way, like a visual kind of language rather than linguistically. Even though linguistically I'm able to interpret that, but for me, it's my preferred medium of communication. It's like drawing, using visuals and stuff like that.
So you feel that gives you the best way to sort of express yourself, right?
Yeah.
That is the best. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's like it's really empowering. Yeah. So that's a good observation. Like I think
those are the good recipes for someone if they want to really create like amazing work, because if your work is essentially an expression of yourself.
Yeah.
It really shows, it's not just I don't know what the word is to use, but the work comes out to be really nice.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good for
and you enjoy it, I'm pretty sure as well. Right?
Oh yeah, of course. It's like, I don't know, it means a lot more to you when you can say whatever you've created is yours. Like when you're, I think one of the primary motivations for me learning about all the extra side stuff that I have to learn in architecture, like, understanding physics, understanding materials, it's because it's all I'm motivated to do that because that's what's going to allow me to ultimately create what I want to create, right? So it's aligned with my own vision. So that's,
even though you might not particularly like learning all that, but
Exactly.
you do it because it sort of gives you what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
It allows you to do what you want to do.
yes, that's exactly right. So it's like it's it's like a
That
gathering
requires
of
that
tools.
requires a lot of discipline, though, right? That requires a lot of discipline. Though.
Somewhat. It needs you to think about the bigger picture. Yeah, like you have to think. Like I hate doing this, but then you remind yourself, but it's gonna be able to. It's gonna help me get where I want to go. So you really need to expand the time frame and think to yourself, like you hate this now, but you'll be thankful for it later. It's like exercising, right? I see you every day, 9 a.m. bro, and I'm getting my coffee, man, and like you're fucking suffering, aren't you? You're like just.
But it's worth the suffering.
Exactly,
though. It's worth
right?
it because after that you feel good.
Exactly.
You feel good.
Exactly. So it's the same. It's the same idea applied to everything.
But don't you enjoy it though? I partly suffer as you just described, but I enjoy it as well. It's a weird combination.
Yeah.
It's a weird combination.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's somewhat masochistic, right? Like a little bit like we kind of like the suffering. It's good and bad. Like I think. The idea is that like once you get used to it, when you know you're suffering, when you align that with a bigger kind of vision, you know that your mind kind of interprets that suffering as a good thing because it's associated with your end goals, right? So why do you work out? Like actually, I've never asked you this. Well, what's your reason for working out?
That's a good question. I actually started working on when I first came to Cardiff. I think last year. As soon as I came, 2 days after I came here. I was like, why don't I start exercising? I've always been into it, but I've not been consistent with it. So I decided, okay, I'm going to be consistent with it. That was one reason. And another reason is when I saw the effects of what it was having on me as a result of going to the gym.
Yeah.
Better concentration as well as better presence of mind.
Exactly. Okay.
Right? And also you feel better.
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of an investment in yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing it for anyone else. I'm just doing it for myself.
That's right.
Right? Yeah, I would say that's the best thing that I look forward to every day. That's the thing that I enjoy the most.
Is it working out?
That's my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite. And when the government said that they decided to close the gyms, I was so upset.
It sucks.
But again, you have to deal with it, right?
Yeah, you gotta work around it, man.
Yeah, you gotta work around it. Yeah.
As they say, adversity breeds resilience. So if there's any issues, you just work around it and you come out stronger because of that. Even during these COVID-19 times, man, we all gotta...
When they shut the economy, I was running outside in Cardiff.
Yeah.
It was sunny, so that definitely elevates the mood, right?
Perfect.
You feel good, yeah.
Yeah. But what if it rains?
I still go.
You still go. I like that.
I still go, bro. I still go, yeah.
I like that. That's persistence. That's persistence and discipline right there. If it's raining,
actually,
if it's sunny.
just you put in a little bit of you just turn on the music and you just go and run.
Exactly.
And I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And you work out as well.
Yes.
You work out. I remember when I used to see you in the gym at times when I used to go in the morning at 6 a.m. You were there fucking
It was like,
how do you do that? How do you go in the morning,
Dude,
man?
like-
Too early in the morning.
yeah, bro. Like I think it is tough, bro. It's not easy. Like, but once I cheat a little bit. I use my jet lag when I get here. Whenever I fly back, your circadian rhythm is fucked up because it doesn't know where it's at. I'm still in Thai time, so I'm 7 hours behind, and I can pick when I sleep and I can pick when I wake up. So whenever I fly back, I always make sure to set like the time that I want to sleep and the time that I want to wake up. So once I set that and I stick to it, only for 2 to 3 days, it just comes naturally after some point, right? Because your body's kind of used to it. So it actually doesn't get difficult after some time. It's just those 2 to 3 days of trying to force yourself to sleep and get up out of bed. And even now, I'll admit, like, my alarm is set for 4:45, but I snooze that shit till like 6. And I've been trying to push it back, but like it's not exactly where I want it to be. But yeah, I mean, you can set it. I think you can set it like when you have the opportunity. You might not be as lucky as me where you're jet lagged and like you can just pick a time, but yeah.
How long have you been following that strict pattern of waking up in the morning and then going to the gym? Is it something that you recently picked up or?
It was, I'd say since second year. I think second year in university, which was last year, has been actually a groundbreaker for me in terms of like understanding the benefits of discipline and like coming up with a routine and sticking to it and stuff. But it kind of fell apart during summer because I think we had a conversation about this, how you go back to your parents' house
and you get spoiled.
Yeah,
You get spoiled by your parents.
Exactly.
Actually, you don't want to blame them too much.
No,
you,
absolutely not,
you do
absolutely.
it yourself as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. It's like
yeah.
it's just it's the environment is so good and they're so good to you that it's like you don't feel the need to have to like struggle anymore, and that's amazing. But like if you get too pampered, sometimes it can be easy to suddenly lose the habits that you made while you're out on your own and stuff. So yeah, it kind of fell apart over summer. I was like waking a little bit late over summer because I didn't really have something to wake up for.
And also, if you eat such good food, I'm sure that you get in your house, you don't have the motivation to wake up in the morning.
Exactly. Like, you just kind of wake up with a full stomach and everything's so chill and it's paradise. But yeah.
Do you miss being back home, or do you enjoy it here?
Oh, dude, yeah, that's a good one, bro. Like I know that like when I flew back here, I was like, oh shit. I was like really. I had second thoughts about flying back. Like as soon as I got here, I was like, well, back to this place again. Because let's face it, I don't know. Like Thailand is here. Cardiff is here in terms of places to live. At least for me, because
okay, yeah. So how is Thailand? Like the one thing that I've always heard about it, it's a place where a lot of Western tourists like to go. That's a place where like a lot of tourists visit. But apart from that, I don't know anything about Thailand.
I mean,
how do you describe it?
I'm probably biased because I got friends and family there and I kind of grew up there. But well, exotic is the term that a lot of people use. But I'd say, it's just beautiful, man. There's a lot of things to do, and Bangkok as a city is always full of life, full of things to do as well. Like I used to, go there. I think it's just that one thing. There are things to do, and there's also lots of beautiful places to go. And you can go to the beach, you can go to the mountains. I had a trip during the summer where I went up to the mountains to do some cycling. It's a hell of a workout, but like fucking.
Is it sunny there or?
Oh yeah, all the time. Freaking 35, 36 degrees Celsius, man. Shit is hot.
But I like that.
Yeah.
I don't like the cold.
Yeah, so you're more you like the heat a little bit more.
Yeah.
It is a little bit. It is a little bit. It does feel a little less over encumbering to not have to come out with like a coat and shit. Like you could just walk around with a tank top and be like lax and stuff. So, yeah. But yeah, Thailand for me is just there's so much more.
So did you grow up in Thailand? Because you told me that you also have family in Belgium.
Belgium, yeah. So my father is Belgium and my mother is Thai.
That's an interesting mix, I must just say that.
Yeah. Thanks. It's all kinds of stuff. I grew up my whole life in Thailand, but we visited Belgium like every year, so I know a little bit of Dutch, but I'm gonna say I'm more of a Thai person. If anyone asks, I'll just say I'm a Thai person. But yeah, although I don't look like one. I mean, I've been told it's very difficult to identify me as an Asian, but yeah.
Do you get that a lot?
Oh yeah. It's like, what? You're actually Thai? Like there was this one time I was in a workshop like making a model. And then my mom called me.
Before that, where do you get the accent from?
The American accent.
Yeah, where do you get it from?
Like, I get comments about that all the time. It's like, oh, shit. We got a little bit of a technical issue here. It's all good. The American accent. People get thrown off by American accent. I hypothesize that it's because I just watched a lot of American media growing up and I kind of just picked it up from them, Like,
when you mean media, news or?
YouTube.
YouTube,
I was a YouTube kid.
What did you watch
Gen
a
Z,
lot?
right?
What did you watch?
I think for me it was Smosh.
Smosh!
Classic Smosh. Classic Smosh, bro.
I don't remember exactly what it was about, but I used to watch it. Yeah, I used to watch it.
It was just like.
Did you watch Epic Cheat Meal as well? Epic Cheat Meal.
Epic Mealtime.
Epic
Mealtime,
yeah.
bro.
That shit was
fantastic. Fantastic.
At that time when I used to watch it, I was a vegetarian. I never used to eat meat. But I was like, oh man, this looks so good.
That must have been so bizarre for you. Like these guys just like putting together 30, 40, 50 pounds of meat and then like just proceeding to demolish it.
It just looks so good.
I mean, yeah. Well, yeah, they really take it to the extreme, don't they? The idea of a cooking show.
Did you watch a lot of movies as well growing up, English movies or?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I would always go with my dad like every weekend and go to go watch a film.
Your favorite actor?
Oh, my favorite actor, bro. I gotta say Bryan Cranston
From Breaking Bad.
from Breaking Bad, bro. I think he did an amazing job on that. But that's just one role, though, and I haven't really seen him anywhere else. So maybe I'll rephrase that. There are actors that play one character, like the same kind of character, really well. Denzel.
Yes.
He always plays the kind of like badass assassin shooter type guy, very principled kind of man. But you're never gonna see him in a comedy film. But he does that one thing really well. And then you have like some of the other guys who can really do everything. Like, you ever seen Uncut Gems?
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh, it's it's amazing. Like you heard of it though, right?
I don't know. I haven't heard of it.
So you know Adam Sandler?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's the comedian guy, right? Like fart jokes and all that funny shit. So he actually plays a very serious role here, and he does a fantastic job of it. I really recommend you watch it. It was very surprising for me to see, but it's cool to see all these actors that they can like really assume another person entirely very well. It's always interesting.
There was one movie that I watched when it was COVID, like when there was nothing going on. I think this was during July. I watched There Will Be Blood by Daniel Day-Lewis. I
don't think I've seen that.
You should watch it.
What's the premise?
It's about a guy who grows up in the US and he wanted to become an oil explorer.
Oh,
right?
explorer.
An oil
or exporter.
Exporter. I guess exporter. I guess so.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah. So he wanted to build a lot of oil rigs, and obviously export it.
Yeah.
And the way Daniel Day-Lewis portrayed that role, it's just insane. Because I thought he was an American, right? When I was seeing him play that role.
Yeah.
And then after the movie finished, I was like, okay, I just want to see how this guy speaks. And then
He's British.
He's British.
He's British as fuck.
And he's like a different guy altogether from the role he played in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Those are the type of actors that I like.
Like
you can't distinguish. You can't distinguish them.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, man. Like.
You should watch it.
What is it called? There Will Be Blood?
There Will Be Blood, yeah.
There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis is the name of the actor.
Daniel Day-Lewis, yeah.
That sounds so familiar. Hold on, let me check that. What's the guy? I can't put a face to the name.
He also played another very famous film called Lincoln.
Oh.
You know this guy, right?
Yeah. No, I know him. Yeah. Wow. So he's British, but in the show he's like got an American accent.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's acted in 8 or 9 films. But I'm not entirely sure about that. But he's won like 60% of the movies that he's made an Oscar.
Really?
Yeah.
God damn.
So out of the 8 movies he made, maybe he must have won an Oscar for 4 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, that guy's good.
You should watch it. Yeah, you should watch that.
Definitely. So, well, actually, I want to talk about your music, man. You got this amazing setup. You got the keyboard, guitar. Is that a little ukulele case I see over there? What's that?
That's a violin.
That's a fucking violin. Wow. Yeah, man. That looks. Yeah. So tell me about your music endeavors, bro. I think music is a fantastic hobby to have. People do it in different ways, you know.
Yeah, I actually picked it up. I used to play a little bit when I was in school, like a long time back. But then I never was that serious. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I was never that serious about it. But when I think this was in March when they shut down the economy. There was nothing they could do in the UK. I, for some reason, picked up the guitar.
Yeah.
And then for some reason picked up the piano.
Yeah.
And the violin. I felt that it came when I was trying to learn it. I learned the guitar before, so I haven't
prior experience.
Yeah. But when I'm trying to learn, I feel it comes very easily to me.
Yeah.
I don't need to put in a lot of effort. Of course you do in order to get better at it.
Of course, yeah.
But then it comes quite easily to me.
The fundamentals.
And I feel extremely fulfilled and satisfied when I'm doing it.
Really?
I've never really gotten it with anything else. I feel.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's the guitar, yeah?
The guitar, anything related to music, yeah.
I see. So it's like it's soothing for you.
It's soothing, yeah.
When you play it.
I feel, again, going back to what you just said 30 minutes back regarding architecture and how you can express yourself.
Yeah.
I feel that.
That's your medium of expression.
Yeah.
That's
I feel really good when I'm doing it. Yeah. I can. It's like I can tell people, okay, this is what I'm feeling like, or this is who I am.
Yeah. Like through the music covers that you're doing, right? Yeah. Those are amazing, man.
Oh, thank you.
Good to see.
Thank you.
It's always good to see on my feed whenever you've done a cover, and you do all kinds of songs too, which is really cool.
Yeah,
so that's
there
awesome.
was one specific band that I like listening to on YouTube. It's called Voice Avenue.
Boys Avenue.
Boys Avenue. Yeah, they used to. What they do is they cover songs like popular songs, and I used to see them since I was young.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, man, how can this guy play the piano, the guitar? His brother's playing the violin. How are they doing that, right?
Exactly.
And I was like, I want to do that as well.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I want to do that as well.
Yeah.
Right? You know when you see someone you get inspired.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it started for me, I guess. Yeah.
So you're inspired by these guys that like you're just able to play multiple instruments.
If there's
Perfect
one
harmony.
wish that I have is to meet them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is to
I
meet
think that'd be
them.
awesome. I'm sure they don't they do concerts or anything like that.
They were actually in Cardiff. I think 4 or 5 years back, but I was not here, so.
I'm sure you'll get them next time. Hopefully, when COVID calms down and stuff. Yeah.
What is your favorite book? What is your all-time favorite? I know you don't. I know you
All-time
like
favorite
visuals
book.
more, but
All-time favorite book, bro. Dude, I really liked reading Animal Farm actually.
oh, but George Orwell, right?
Yeah, George Orwell. I mean, it's a really short book. It's not super dense, but like, again, this harks back to our conversation about being able to put complex ideas into simple, presenting it simply, and he kind of like took this whole idea of politics and corruption and stuff like that. And he put it in this kind of farm setting, and it was really fascinating to see the interactions. Like, I feel like anyone could get it. Like, anyone can totally get it. And then, like, because, he based this off of, like, I think Trotsky and what was happening in Russia and stuff like that. And it was like, wow, it's really interesting to see how he was able to come up with that and, like, still make it super interesting to read. Because, sometimes you get bored by just, like, just, like, simple politics and stuff like that. But when you present it in a certain way, it just shows that you can make anything interesting as long as you're a good writer,
Right.
How about you? What's your favorite book?
Oh,
You got many to pick from.
that's a good question.
That's a good question.
I would say two of them, my favorites. I think they have been my favorite. One is Mastery by Robert Greene.
Mastery.
Yeah,
I see it right there.
and the other one is The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. I would say those two books are the best books that I've ever read in my life.
Really? Wow.
Especially The Laws of Human Nature. I rarely reread books. I don't reread them,
Mhm.
but that one I reread. I read that twice.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, that is perhaps if anyone whoever's listening to this, they must read that book.
Yeah?
They must read that book. Yeah.
What's the idea behind it?
So that's a good. I'm trying to remember.
Mhm.
Well, he says that because of technology, right? Because of social media and how all of us, myself included,
Yeah.
are kind of with varying degrees have addiction to it, right? We're addicted to texting or Instagram or whatever it may be.
Technology, yeah.
He says, and this is his observation, when he walks around the US, he's from the US, or anywhere he goes,
Mhm.
everyone's looking at their phone a lot, right?
Yeah.
So what has happened to us is we've lost the ability to interact with our fellow human beings properly,
That's a good point to make, yeah. That's
Right?
a very great observation.
right? So he gives you instructions as to how do you
Understand people.
how do you understand people? Yeah,
Mm.
how do you sort of not necessarily influence them, but how do you understand them?
Yeah, understand where they're coming from and
Through
stuff.
their body language, through their through what they're trying to say. But he says you can understand a person more, not necessarily through their words, but through their body language.
Mhm.
Apparently, you can make out what the other person is trying to say, not just say, but his state of mind through their body language. Yeah.
I see.
That is, and the way he explains it as well, I can't explain it as well as he does it,
Yeah.
but he explains it really well, and you can see that the book is coming out of a lot of research. Like, he read 250 books to write what he wrote,
Wow.
so
That sounds fantastic, bro.
I would highly recommend it. Yeah, it's one of the books that everyone should read. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
That honestly, that sounds like a book I definitely need to read. Man, we're complex creatures, us humans,
Very,
beings. Like,
very.
we're all coming from different places and stuff. And I'm sure even that,
And-
as good of an attempt that is, probably couldn't even encapsulate what we are as beings. Even though he's trying, but it's just like, it's so difficult to actually like make up for all our idiosyncrasies.
And why I also like it as well, it goes back to what we were saying, like talking about before, which is he writes in simple language. It's easy to understand what he's trying to say,
Yeah.
and there's a bit of practicality to it as well. So when you finish reading this book, you think, oh, I can actually use it every day, right? I
Yeah.
can actually use what he's saying every day.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah.
you kind of, there's an incentive to kind of really understand what he's trying to say. Yeah, those are the type of works that I really like.
Like books like with knowledge that you can apply, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholly, man. Like I think that's the best way to learn as well. Like, to be able to not only apply it to yourself, but also maybe tell other people about it or like talk to them about it. Like, you ever feel like your knowledge of something is reinforced when you're explaining it to someone?
It is. That's a good suggestion. I must do that more often. I sometimes kind of refrain from doing that. But I must do that often though. Yeah.
I mean, not often. You know, it's actually a good thing to listen as well. Listening, I feel like, is something that people neglect sometimes too. Right? Everybody has something to say.
That's another point that he makes as well.
Being able to listen.
Yeah, being able to listen.
Yeah.
And he says that when you enter a room, right, or when you speak to anyone, I think his target audience is very different. It's not for people like me who are just students. Like his target audience is like CEOs and executives. Like that's who he's talking to, right? But it can be applied by anyone.
Yeah.
He says most people, as you just said, when they go into a room, it's always about you. It's always about you and what is going on in your head. But when you enter a room and you're speaking to your fellow human beings, whether it's one person or a couple of people, be quiet and let them speak. You speak to them and ask questions about them instead of
trying to project yourself onto them, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a valuable skill to have. Like listening is good.
He says we've lost that ability again because of social media, because
like Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, we've become narcissistic. I don't want to say people, even I might fall in that category. Everyone. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
No, that's a good point to make, man. Like, I think.
Would you put yourself in the extroverted or an introverted category?
That's it. Yeah, that's a good question, bro. You ever do any personality tests?
I've done a couple of them a couple of years back, but I really don't remember what the results were.
I see. I'd say naturally that I'm an introvert, but over the years I've kind of like taught myself how to be extroverted, if you get what I mean. Like try to, put myself in situations where I'm with other people and trying to get the most out of it. But naturally I'd say I'm an introvert. How about you? I'm guessing extrovert. No?
Yes, but I would say growing up I was very extroverted. I used to speak a lot. Right? I used to speak a lot. But again, it's weird. I would call myself a very weird person because I can.
Weird is good though. Yeah.
I can be extroverted, but I can also be very introverted. I don't know why that is, but I could be like the extremes in both.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people there's no such thing as an absolute extrovert. There's no such thing as an absolute introvert. Like we socialize, we all need to socialize, but at the same time, the time that we have to ourselves is also quite important. So it's not weird at all to bounce between both of them. Actually, it's good. It's healthy. Actually, I think. Yeah. Like,
have you ever tried, like, okay, you thought to yourself that I'm a bit introverted. Do you try and change that, or do you kind of accept who you are?
Oh, that's a good point. For one, I like pushing my comfort zone. I think being too comfortable is it doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel a little bit guilty. So I like to. Sometimes I try to go out and just like have a conversation with people, or I wouldn't say go out to a party. I've grown disenchanted with parties.
Oh, you don't like parties?
I think I've been there and done that. I'd probably say that's.
How old are you?
20.
You've been there and done that. You're just 20.
That's a good point. But I growing up in Thailand and stuff like that, they don't really enforce like laws on age and stuff. So I think I was exposed to that at a really young age. So
you've had your fair share of parties.
I think for me, yeah. Then maybe to someone else it wouldn't make sense, but I think for me it's I've seen it. I've done that. I've done enough of that. I think. Yeah, but not parties like parties in the clubbing sense. You know, parties in the get fucked up kind of sense. You know, that kind of like really adrenaline thing where you just go out and see how much you can drink and stuff. I'd still go to like a social gathering and all that, but I don't know, clubs and all that, or
parties.
Yeah, all they kind of the ones that are focused on like alcohol and stuff. I don't really feel excited by anymore. Even though it's like good to see people who go there, it's always good to see friends and stuff. But yeah, whenever I just go, it's just it doesn't make me.
Do you feel like that because you already experienced it, or you think this is not something that I want to do? Is it both of that, or is it just?
I think it's both of that. Yeah. I think that's a good observation. I think it's both of that. I think just a combination of my prior experiences with it, and also
just to let you know, I don't like parties as well because I'm
a
shit dancer though. That's why I don't like.
There's no such thing as a shit dancer, man. Like, I think you know what? If you're out there and you're dancing, bro, like people should be giving you props for that, bro. Because most other fuckers are like just. God, on their fucking phone doing Snapchat or whatever it is, you know? Like, you're out here enjoying yourself, so don't even think about calling yourself a bad dancer, man. You're a good dancer. Just, like, go out there and just show them your moves, man. Who fucking cares, bro? Who fucking cares, right? Yeah. I mean, actually, I have a question. What do you think about the concept of being weird?
Whoa.
when people, like, say, oh, you're being weird, like, what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like you're being chastised? Do you feel like you're being shamed or whatever? Or what are your thoughts on it?
Well, the first thing I would say is I would never give anyone the opportunity to call me weird.
Why is that? Like, just like you wouldn't.
I have been. Have I been called that? I'm trying to think. I've not necessarily been called that, but I've definitely gotten the impression that people think about me like that.
Really?
That's for sure, yeah.
Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, you can pick it up.
But do you feel like that's a bad thing to be thought of as weird? Because I think it's a great thing.
Being called that?
I mean, not being called that, but the concept of being weird. I don't think anyone should be put down for being weird at all. I think it's a good thing.
I think it's actually... You're right. It's very healthy for a society to accept people who are sort of
different.
Yeah, a bit different. Yeah. A bit different. Yeah. I mean, why would you want to ridicule them for that? I don't understand that.
I mean, not ridicule, but I think we're all weird in some kind of way. But people just don't want to show it because they're worried they're gonna they're not gonna feel normal. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Were you? Have you ever been called that, or you felt that people kind of put you in that category?
I don't know. Maybe yes. Maybe I haven't been directly called that, but like I just thought it's just me and my own personal thoughts. It's like, oh, maybe what I'm doing is weird. I should stop myself. Sometimes I've thought that.
What is it that you do kind of makes you feel like that you're a bit weird?
Oh, I don't know, bro. I feel like my sense of humor is a little bit fucked up sometimes. You know, I like to laugh at the really dark shit. You know, shit that you shouldn't be laughing at. But it's like.
Also, waking up at 5:30.
Maybe that's a little bit too far. But like, it's like it's just more about like when you're trying to do something, right? When you're trying to do something that you feel is a little bit different or like makes you uncomfortable, like could be starting a new business or like trying to write a song or doing something that's like that you might think other people wouldn't approve of, And then there's this little voice in your head that says you shouldn't be doing that because people might think you're weird. I mean, I think I kind of taught myself to be like, that's actually a good thing. That's actually a good thing that this is different from the norm because that just shows that I'm exercising my will upon the world and I'm just being me.
Yeah. That's individuality as well. You're just trying to.
Yeah.
I would not. Yeah, you could call it setting yourself apart as well.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to do something different.
Exactly.
Right, which is sort of what you're trying to do is also an expression of who you are.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. But I wouldn't say doing something different for the sake of being different, but just like not giving a fuck pretty much about whether or not it's considered weird or different. Just like doing what you want to do. What do you say?
Yeah, doing what you want to do. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that's been on my mind, so I just thought I'd bring it up. Yeah.
And is that your goal then, to become an architect, a major architect, or?
Well, I have no idea right now, bro. Really, I definitely want to start working in architecture right after I graduate, and I think my end goal is to start my own firm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's the big
I will give it to you. In fact, not because I was planning to read it again, but I will give it to you because you would want it the most, more than me, because you're going to go into the professional
What
workplace.
the laws of human
So
nature?
not the laws, mastery.
Mastery.
Yeah.
So what's that one about? Because I haven't really.
You will really like it because it's a book that sort of gives you an insight as to what made a person become a master in their field. Now, it's not necessarily only people who are in the architectural field, but in every field. What did they do to become a master? It's not necessarily technical competence, but it's also how did they interact with their mentors, and that relationship. How do you get about that? How do you go about that? And you would really like it. It's again a very practical book.
Yeah, dude, that's a big
especially an artistic person like you. I think you should buy it because it's really.
I think I might do that. I mean, like this Robert Greene guy. I've listened. I have his audiobook, 48 Laws of Power, not Human Nature, but 48 Laws of Power. So it's but yeah, I know him. He's good. He sounds good.
Yeah, you should definitely get that. But yeah, so you want to go into the workplace before you start your own company.
Yeah, it's always good to get a little bit of experience.
And any of your, do you have any favorites that you would like to work under, or?
Like a company or a firm.
A firm or a particular individual that you like.
I'm okay with anything really. As long as, because I think in the world of architecture there's a danger of going into a job and then just becoming a CAD monkey, as they call it. So what CAD is like, it's the digital drawing of plans and sections. So I think a lot of the time what new kids end up doing for the first couple of years, or maybe even their whole lives if they're not careful, is just, because they know the programs, like they're just told to draw other people's designs. Like the higher ups, they come up with the design and you're just tasked with drawing it. But it does make sense, right? Because this is someone that's experienced and you don't want to give them a lot of powers, so you just want them to sit there and kind of learn through drawing. But I always think it's good to get as many people involved as possible in the creative process. So back to the topic is just like, I'm okay with working with anyone as long as I'm valued as an individual and like able to have some kind of creative input into the process, or just more involved than just like, sitting in front of the computer and just like drawing their designs and whatever. Like I just want to feel like as long as I'm integrated in the team, I'm okay. Yeah.
Right. And do you have you thought to yourself how long you want to be in the work world or in a company or a firm, or have you not thought about that?
Yeah, I haven't really estimated that. I guess right now I just say whenever I feel like I'm ready,
you're out.
Yeah, and also whenever I've gotten the assets or the money to do something.
That's important as well.
That's important as well. It's not as important not to forget about that. Yeah. So what about you? What are your plans after bachelor's or no, master's for you now?
Yes,
isn't it?
that's a very good question.
Yeah.
I am starting to discover myself while I kind of put myself in this field, the field of law.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not yet entirely sure whether that's something that I want to pursue. It's something that I partly enjoy, but it's also something that I don't enjoy as well. It depends, right?
Like you don't see yourself dedicating your life to it, or something.
Because, also like when this whole thing started, the whole COVID thing started, I could really take a step back, right, and be a bit objective and think to myself, who am I? What is my personality type, and what is it that I would like to do?
Exactly.
Right? When you're in that zone, you start kind of thinking, and then I thought to myself that the law, right, the profession of the law is very logical, right? It's very reason based.
Rules,
rules based, pragmatism. Yeah. There's very less space for artistic expression. You can't really express yourself in that sense, right? Because it's very rule based, and I don't want to sound rude as well. People are very serious. I don't like that. I don't like it when people are too. It sort of puts me. it doesn't make me uncomfortable. I don't like it. I kind of despise when people are a bit too. See, that's the impression that I get when I'm around people who are in the law, right?
Yeah. Does it make you feel like just a cog in the machine or something like that? You
I would not go.
individualism.
I would not go that far, but it feels a bit weird for me. That vibe I don't like.
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself, I'll continue doing law for some time, but if I don't like it at the end of it, I might actually go to music school.
Really? Yeah. No, that sounds like a good idea. I mean, that's one of the, I'd say, secondary, if not primary, purposes of university is just finding out who you are and what you want to do.
Yeah.
I think that's something that, and it's not like you'd be abandoning everything if you switch to music and stuff. I think law is a very versatile degree, even though it's all about like rules and shit like that. I'm sure there's a lot more than that. Like something that you learned out of it is just being able to understand the rules and how you can work around it or how you can work with it. And I think this is going to make you more of an independent person going forward. I mean, at least I think. I mean, it seems there's so much to think about and to have all this knowledge. I'm sure you're going to find a way to apply it for your own purposes.
Have you ever, when you came to university as well, do you also think of that sometimes? Is this the right thing that I've picked? Or
yeah, I still do think about that. Yeah.
Oh, you still do think about
it? Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean all the time. You can't be certain about everything.
You can't be certain.
Right. Yeah. And so I mean I'm enjoying it now, but I'm perfectly aware that sometimes things don't work out. And sometimes you don't end up sticking to it as you go forward. But the point is yeah.
Just going back to it, this thing that you're doing, is it something that? I think I asked you this before. Does it come naturally to you? Okay, like you're in art. Do you feel that this is something that you were sort of? I don't want to get too lofty right now.
Like built to do.
You were built to do. Like, do you feel like that when you're in it, or?
Somewhat, actually.
Because see, I'm a very idealistic person. That's why I ask questions like this.
No, this is good. These are good questions.
Yeah.
These are good questions, man. I think, dude. I think, for me, I'm more of a breadth person rather than a depth person. Like, if you get what I mean. I like learning. I like to be a jack of all trades rather than a specialist.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the natural relationship that I have with architecture, is that you're able to stick your fingers in all kinds of shit. And like, that sounded weird. you're able to, that's a stupid quote, but you're able to get yourself involved with all these kinds of different topics, and then you can put them together into something that's your own. So I think that's one of the cool things. I think that's one of the natural interests that I have that allows me to enjoy architecture and do well with it. But yeah, so I think somewhat I do feel, no, I wouldn't say like I'm a natural, there's always some things that you'll find difficulty with, but it's yeah.
But you can put up with that, with the repetition, with the work that's involved. You can do that, right? You don't have an issue with that.
Yeah. I like I said before, whatever you're doing, as long as because it's always aligning with your own personal goal, your own personal creation, there's the motivation just keeps you going. Yeah. So I think that's what, at least for me, makes it tolerable. Like some of the more
and again, the personal goal here is starting up of the business, right? For you, or
yeah, in the big picture. But like, for example, during the semester, you have a vision for a building, or a vision for a piece of architecture, and like that's completely you. Like they encourage you to come up with a creative solution that you actually feel passionate about. That this could be, maybe housing. Maybe you want to create like what's your idea of good housing, and then you can actually come up with something that's your own. And then there are certain obstacles to getting to that goal. But the point is that whatever you're creating is yours. This is the cool thing, is like they don't ever do tests. It's all coursework. I prefer that more, coursework over exams, because I think coursework is a better way of gauging someone's ability, because that's like their long-term incremental work presented as
and their commitment to it as well.
And their commitment to it, and also the fact that it's their own. This is something that's personal to them. So I think that's why I prefer it. Yeah. And that's why I think that's why I think it motivates me. Yeah, and other architect students as well.
Were you always like this? I mean, when I see you, like I this is my observation of you,
Okay.
that you're like quite disciplined. I would put very disciplined as well. Like you wake up very early in the morning. I've never seen anyone in the gym like waking up and going that early.
Yeah.
And sort of doing the work, right? It's not easy to do that. You know me, I like going to the gym, but I can't go that. Were you always like that? I mean, you're so young. How do you get the motivation to do stuff like that? To be that rigid. Like, okay, I'm sure you have like a journal. Like, you come across as a person like that. Like,
Yeah, I do have a journal. It's really important for me. Yeah, but that's a very flattering observation, man. Thank you for that. It's
not
a good compliment.
Flattering, but that's what I might be wrong, but that's my observation. That
yeah, dude, it's good that you point that out. Like, I think.
Because you're 20, correct?
Yeah. So I've been told I'm like an old man sometimes because of my the not partying thing or whatever it is. But I think it's, I don't know. I think I get lazy when it comes to things like, if I don't know the reason why I'm doing things, if there's no why to it, then I just don't bother doing it. I'm sure that's the same for you somewhat, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily mean just because I'm waking up at 5 a.m. that I'm like, really doing well, I guess. But it's to each his own. Like, whatever you want to do, like, and if you're able to do it, I think if you're acting upon it, like for you it's 8 a.m. For me it's 5 a.m. For someone else it might be 2 a.m. But the point is that like you're just doing what you want to do, and you're doing it for the greater good, and you know what your greater good is. Like, if there's a why, for everyone has their own kind of why, a reason for doing for doing things. So I think that's part of the reason why I stick to the routine. It's like there's an end goal that's aligned to it. Yeah.
But were you always like this, or is this something that you recently became?
I think this is something that I became when I came to university. When I started living by myself, I kind of started forcing myself to, not forcing myself, but like started realizing that it's important to be stricter to yourself. I mean, this is what your parents were doing to you when you were younger, right? Don't eat the ice cream. Don't go to bed late. Don't, and it's for a good reason, right? Because they want you to understand how to regulate yourself and also teach yourself to sacrifice some of the short-term gratifications for long-term success. If you get what I mean. You get what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So I'd say, I wasn't like this in high school at all, I'd say. I think in high school I was a lot more of an underachiever. I'd say I didn't have as much ambition as now. I think that's just because I didn't realize the importance of independence, because, like this thing that we were talking about, being pampered when you're with your parents and all that. So I think...
So when you look at yourself right now,
mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you're doing well in university, do you sometimes think to yourself, why was I not like this when I was in school? Do you regret? Because that's also a very important phase of your life, right? Do you regret sort of not being who you truly are, which is what you're kind of you are at the moment?
That's a great question, man. Yeah, I do it all the time, bro. Like, I think I went to an international school, so I grew up with like some really smart kids. Like, some of those guys are in Cambridge and Oxford now. And I think for me, yeah, there's a... So I was like, shit, why didn't I put as much work in as them?
All your friends are in...
Not all my friends, but a lot of them are in great universities. Very smart people, like they're geniuses, I think. But yeah, I think for me, it was just like not understanding as early as them the importance of putting the work in. But at the same time, I'm not, dwelling on it or lamenting about it, because it's more of having the abundance mentality, right? Not thinking about what's missing, but thinking about what you already have and being grateful for it. So I mean, I'm just happy that I've developed. I'm just in a better place, compared to back then. And it's not always healthy to. It's good to look back and see how far you've come, but not to regret about it and stuff. How about you, man? I think, my observation of you is that, as I can see here, you have an amazing thirst for knowledge, and you have an insatiable appetite for like, you have just the most really curious guy, and you're always like really looking to learn things, and you'll do anything to give yourself, like, to pursue whatever it is that you're interested in, even if it means talking to people or like reading books, like you just got this drive to you, man. Like, I think that's really fantastic.
I was also not like this. When I grew up as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of curiosity, I've been told that I used to ask the question why a lot.
Yeah.
But for some reason, like when I started growing up, I sort of let go of that quality of mine. I don't know why. Maybe because of the friends that I was around. They're not bad people, but maybe because of the friends I was with, or self-imposed. Maybe I self-imposed it on myself.
Or maybe you were trying to be normal or something like that.
Yeah,
trying to feel like
probably
fit in or whatever.
Probably that. Yeah, probably that. Yeah, but when I came here, when I came to Cardiff, I don't know. It's a weird city, right? It does something to you.
I suppose so. I mean, I haven't been to any other cities where I've lived in similar circumstances as Cardiff. You know, like I've only been here for university. But you've been to Swansea.
Yes, I was in Swansea for 4 years, and that was a decent experience. But when I came here, I don't know. I don't know if everyone has that experience, but when I came here, there was something that, yeah, I felt that I should be a bit better. I should strive to be a bit better.
And you think it was a result of the environment, like the city?
I really don't know what it was, but it was just a mysterious thought that emerged within me and said, "Okay, this is what you should be doing."
Yeah.
And let's just do it.
I think everyone has that epiphany at some point, you know, like this something just suddenly snaps.
When you look at yourself right now, do you feel shocked? Do you feel a bit surprised? Like, okay, let me describe who I was. I was growing up, especially during my high school years. I used to wake up at like 4 p.m., 5 p.m.
Oh, wait, 4 p.m., 5, like...
In the evening.
Yeah.
And sleep at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., watch YouTube.
Complete night owl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would never touch a book. I mean, I would never touch a book, right? I would never do all those things. I would never go to the gym. I would speak back to my parents and stuff, you know?
Yeah,
I was that type of a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I still talk back, but not, yeah. So, do you sort of look at yourself and think, this is not who... Wow, I'm just like, I'm...
So different.
Not so, like, what happened? Do you ever think to yourself?
Yeah, you know, that's a good point, bro. Like, yeah, that's I've never really thought about that, actually. I have kind of, but I didn't think about the question about what happened, or like gone to the roots of why you suddenly decide to take control of your life and start pursuing more ambitious things and all that. I guess it's maybe it's not a single event, but rather just the accumulation, like of many different things throughout time. Like maybe one day you start deciding, yeah, I'm gonna start working out now, and then the next day it's like I'm gonna start reading. So it's like these small little steps. Instead of one big bang, you wake up a different man the next day. It's just like,
I think it's incremental steps.
Incremental steps, yeah. Baby steps, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Like, but it's an interesting thought though. But it's a good reminder that you just have to put your head down and keep working at it, and then it will pay off. It'll pay off eventually. Like, I think you should strive to be at least 1% better than you were yesterday. At least. Because imagine 1% better every day. That doesn't sound like much, but in a year, 365%. That's like you're 3.6 times better than you were the last time. You know. So I think it's a good mindset to have.
You said you were an underachiever in school. Like, how would the teachers treat you in your school? Would they speak down on you, or?
I went to a good school. I'm gonna be honest. I think coming to university really made me appreciate the high school that I went to. I think they were just on another level, man. Like, I think I'm just really lucky to have gone to a great school. I think they were always pushing me in the right direction. Actually, they didn't really speak down to me, but it's just that, you know, I think I was just capable. I just did enough to get by. I think that's what. So I didn't really raise any red flags. I wasn't really the bad kid at school, but I wasn't the best kid either. You know, I was just like, I'm there, I'll do the homework, and then I'll play video games and smoke weed or whatever.
I used to play video games a lot as well, man. That was one of my favorite. Oh, what did you play? What was your favorite?
I had different phases. I think there was for me, the most recent one was probably Rainbow Six Siege. You know that game?
Is this Xbox or?
Oh, it's a PC.
PC.
I played it on PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Yeah, for me it was Rainbow Six Siege. Like and I don't regret that because it's very fun. Because I after school every day. I mean, although it is partially the reason why I didn't get the best A level grades. Like my A level grades were solid, but maybe a little less Rainbow Six Siege would have helped. But you know, we'd have a Discord server. We just hop on. We play till late, and it was just good fun. Yeah. What about you? What video games did you play?
I've been playing. Oh man, ever since I was growing up, I started with the PlayStation 1.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
OG.
Yeah, PlayStation
OG.
1 to the PlayStation 4.
Mhm.
And I used to play a lot. I used to play a good chunk of my day used
Like
to go.
like single player games or multiplayer games or what do you?
Both. But mostly like online, like Call of Duty.
Yeah, COD classic. Yeah.
Yeah, Uncharted 4 if you heard of that.
Oh
Uncharted-
yeah, of course, dude. Yeah, Uncharted 4 is an all-timer. I haven't played it yet, but the same guys that made Last of Us, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite phases. I don't regret that. Out of all the things I regret, video games. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah. Video games are fantastic. And what? Do you play any now?
Completely stopped.
You completely stopped.
Yeah. Do
Like-
you play or?
I I have a gaming PC. I have a gaming laptop. I do have games installed. I haven't touched it in a while, probably because there's no one to play with here. All my friends are in Thailand, so trying to play with them means that the ping just spikes through the roof and it's impossible to play because of network issues. I recently picked up chess though. I think that's it.
Oh, you picked up chess?
Yeah.
Whoa,
It's
like you really played on the PC?
on the PC. Like, I have a board if you
Okay.
if you ever want to play it.
I used to play it growing up as a kid a little bit, but
It's very popular in India, isn't it? It's where it came from, in fact, I think.
I think it came from China, but I might be wrong.
They use different. It comes from different places. Like there's chaturanga. Is that how you say it? Chaturanga? You ever heard of that?
Even
name?
I'm ignorant about my own.
Bro, yeah. So I think that's basically it's like it's the closest thing. So it takes from Chinese chess, Thai chess, and Indian chess. But Indian chess is the closest ancestor to it because it's got the knights and the pawns and the queens and everything.
Right.
But yeah,
And how long have you been playing chess from?
I picked it up in year 1. Not seriously, not like as a habit though. I think as a habit I formed it in year 2. But year 1 I met a friend, a good friend of mine, George, and he introduced me to chess. And he whooped my ass, and my competitive nature wanted me to,
Kick his ass.
to kick his ass back. So I kind of started like doing like puzzles, like playing chess online every day. Like I'm a very competitive person. I think that's that's one of the drivers of.
You would describe yourself.
I think so. Almost to the point where it's
What's
a little
that
bit-
one thing that you did that made you like sort of think to yourself, oh, I'm actually a very competitive person?
I think it's when I rage, bro. Like it's like when I'm playing and I'm not getting it and I'm losing. Like that's one of the things that really like gets me like. It makes me a little bit more angry, like So I think it's like it's probably because I'm a little bit of a competitive person. So yeah, I'd probably say that's why. I like winning as well. Winning feels good, right?
It feels good,
Yeah.
definitely feels.
But losing is a good lesson, and it's not. It's easy to think, taking an L sometimes. Like you gotta learn how to take a loss too, as well. It's a good way to learn.
I think if you always win, you get the impression sometimes that you're like perfect.
Exactly, and
But-
then you don't learn.
But once you come across a setback and you've always been winning,
That can crush you, right?
that's probably the end of it for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely right, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I think you gotta learn how to be a loser and to be a winner. I think that's an idea, and it's also, treating it as a healthy thing too. Competition.
Have you made a lot of mistakes growing up? As in, like in school or?
Yeah, we all have. I think we all. I mean, that's the.
I
beauty
would
of
say
youth.
I've made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the beauty of youth, right? That's the idea of being young. Is that you can afford to make mistakes. Like imagine if you're older now, like 30 into your 30s, where you have real responsibilities and you fuck up then. I mean, how catastrophic would that be? As opposed to being 18 or 17, being completely free of responsibilities. It's kind of like designed. I think that's what high school and university is about. Is to give you this kind of fictional, not fictional, but like a safety net to fuck up, like to try to learn something and fail because there you don't really suffer the consequences that much. Because if you fail when you're 35, you could lose real money, you could lose people, you know. So I think that's part of the reasons. Yeah. So I mean, failure is just a part of you. But yeah, I did fuck up here and there. Yeah. Like I don't know. Yeah. Like it's. I think I was less. Again, like I was less disciplined, and I probably didn't get the best grades because of that. What about you, man? What would you say is one of your biggest?
My biggest mistake.
Yeah, biggest mistakes, or not biggest mistakes, but like what's the idea? Like how has the mistakes in your childhood taught you or fed into your the being that is you today?
Yeah, I think my biggest mistake would be, I rarely ever speak about it, but my biggest mistake would be disrespecting my parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've all been there, bro.
But mine was more than just the normal. Yeah, I really regret that.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
we all, you know, relationship with your parents isn't always gonna be perfect, but yeah, I mean it is what it is. Like I think I had my fair share of disrespecting my parents too, and it's, you can regret it, but it's just like sometimes with kids, when you're kids, like when you're a kid, you don't. Why does this person have power over me? Why does he get to say what I can and can't do? Eventually, you're gonna question that, and that's gonna lead to a buildup of resentment, and then it explodes out into some kind of form of disrespect. But I don't think it's something that you can really dwell on. It's just
Yeah. I don't dwell on it anymore, but I definitely would like to set it right. I don't know how that is gonna be, but I would want to set it right.
Yeah, but your relationship with your parents now
It's
way great.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And that's again something that I really worked hard on.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's very good. I mean, I think it's got to be paramount, the relationships that you have with the people that you're close with. That's like one of the top priorities I think everyone should have.
Yeah.
Is like, people that love you and the people you love, like you
That's
should
that's
really look into.
one of the massive things that I made a mistake on. And the second one was again growing up high school. I was not really that focused on academics. I sort of didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
But
same,
now,
bro.
when I look at myself, I'm like trying to.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Who would have
Yeah.
thought?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it's just that's just life, man. I mean, everyone does things at their own pace. Like even now in university, maybe you still have some guys who are unsure about things and stuff like that. But like I think we all proceed through things at our own pace, and like, it's just that's how it
When
is.
you went back home to Thailand after spending 1 year here in Cardiff for vacation, did your parents say that, oh Arno, you're a bit
Different.
You're a bit different.
Like after first year or which summer?
First year, second year, whatever.
Whichever. They didn't really say that he's different, but I don't know. I guess they didn't treat me as much. I think I kind of showed them that I can make decisions by myself. So there was a little less concern for me fucking up. So they weren't too worried about that. I think when I came back. But yeah. What about your parents? They any differences after you came back from uni or?
They never really told me that. No, they never really told me that. And I'm not trying to do what I'm doing because of getting that from them. It's something that comes from within.
Exactly.
I think that's the most healthiest thing.
That's a very good point to make, man. And I think going to university really makes you appreciate. I mean, at least for me, it really made me appreciate.
Going to another country.
Going to another country, living by yourself and stuff. Yeah, it really shows like how much your parents work to get you where you are and stuff, right?
Yeah, it gives you perspective as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, gratitude. That's a good thing to enforce.
I think on that note, I think we should
wrap it up
and end it. Right?
I think that was a great way to end it, bro.
That was a good one. Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening. It's an honor to be the first guest on the what are you gonna call the Krish experience, or
a Krishna experience. I don't know. I'll think about it.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, man. I like what you're doing, bro. I think this is great, man. I can't wait to see all the following episodes and stuff like that. And,
for sure.
Yeah. All right, bro.
It was nice talking to you, man.
Great talk, man. Okay, so are we gonna time it together now?